On today's episode of the Cryptoverse. There's no particular story today that I want to analyze in depth, so instead I've picked out the top 3 stories of the day that I think are worth talking about. The first one is that Cloudflare are going to launch an IPFS gateway. So this was first reported by Cointelegraph. Headline is Major Content Delivery Network introduces decentralized content gateway. So a few points on this one. The first one is the world of web hosting is not really decentralized. So most websites are hosted on a centralized server, and even if they are spread over several servers, it's still from one service provider, right? So Cloudflare is this service provider that introduces some sense of decentralization. They can do things like co-locate your website, so host it in servers in different parts of the world, just in case one goes down, it can automatically fall over to the next one. It can cache content, so for example, if you're hosting in a server in Japan and you're in California, well, the latency of that data is going to be pretty slow. So Cloudflare would then copy your data to a server in America and then serve the Californians from that server. So Cloudflare is good at this kind of thing. And then also, if even the Japanese server's down, it can load the website from the American one. So it's designed to be like that. So it's kind of like some sense of decentralization via caching, but it's still from a centralized service, which isn't ideal. So IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, that's a technology, it's quite a new technology. It's kind of a distributed ledger technology that allows not just one service provider to decentralized host files in a decentralized way, but for any hosting provider to share that load, right? So IPFS is the perfect partner for blockchain-based decentralized applications because it provides the perfect decentralized file storage for blockchains which are decentralized immutable databases. It's just the perfect match. So Cloudflare are now launching their own IPFS gateway. So IPFS is a network of its own, and then it's where all the various servers, host the file, just like in a blockchain. All the different servers host a copy of the file, so it's available everywhere. But how do you get the file into the IPFS network? Well, you need one of the nodes on the network to actually feed it in. And Cloudflare are huge, right? They've got big access to a lot of content being submitted through their network. So if they add themselves as an IPFS gateway, that means a ton of content can get into the IPFS network. So their motivation for doing this is availability of content. So say if they've cached a copy of your website and the actual hosting server that you're hosting on goes down or can't be reached for some reason, they can load a mirrored copy of it. So they're looking to make sure that your website loads no matter what's going on with your hosting provider. But IPFS is the perfect solution to that because it will be like a blockchain, barring the entire network going down, it's going to be loadable from one of the IPFS nodes. But more than that, availability, great, that's their incentive. But as long as people are accessing a file regularly on the IPFS network, it can't really be gotten rid of, right? That's how IPFS works. The more a file is accessed, the more copies of it appear on the network. That it's kind of dynamic in that way. If content is in more demand, it gets propagated more, so it's more available, it loads faster and all the rest of it. So it's a supply and demand system, it's brilliant. Also remember that Filecoin is under development to actually create a financial incentive via a cryptocurrency for people to run IPFS nodes. So brilliant. So also remember that EOS.io file storage, which is proposed in its own dedicated white paper, that also uses IPFS technology to synchronize files amongst block producers. So that will be huge because then EOS smart contracts and decentralized applications will have their own internal version of IPFS for the storage of files that decentralized applications may want to use. Then you've got really got an all-in-one Amazon cloud style system right inside EOS. And then EOS could completely replace anyone who wanted to use Amazon Web Services, but in a completely decentralized way and an immutable way. So this is big news. All right, next story. The Constantinople upgrade to the Ethereum network will hit the testnet very soon. This was reported by btcmanager.com. Here's the article. Ethereum's new network upgrade, Constantinople, will soon hit the testnet. So I've made a few notes about this. I originally spoke about this upcoming hard fork to Ethereum In my video on the 30th of August, I called it the $29 billion hard fork. If you want to go back and watch that, if you haven't already, please do so. So according to this article, the code for Constantinople was finalized on the 31st of August, and it's due to be pushed to one of Ethereum's testnets, the Ropsten testnet, mid-October. Now this is it's not backwards compatible. So this is a hard fork. It's not a soft fork. So in a hard fork, everyone has to upgrade to avoid splitting the network, right? Because it needs to maintain consensus. So it's not like SegWit, segregated witness on Bitcoin, where, you know, people can upgrade over time and the old system and the new system can coexist. It's a hard line in the sand. Once Constantinople goes live on the mainnet, if you're not in consensus with it, you're going to get booted off the network or have to establish your own. So that's kind of what happened with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, that they split. They just didn't agree on the code to run and they were out of consensus. So that's why they're now independent networks. So if all goes well, this will be pushed to the mainnet around sometime in November, this says here. So what's going to happen here is this difficulty bomb we spoke about in the last video is going to get pushed back by 12 months. Also, the mining reward is going to get cut by a third from 3 Ether per block to 2 Ether per block. We kind of spoke about that in the last video as well. And also the Ethereum hash rate in the last month has fallen by around 20%. When I heard that, I had to verify it for myself. So I went over to this here BitInfoCharts website. And you can see this is a 6-month view. So around about August time, we peaked right up here at 295 terahashes. And since then, we've fallen quite a bit to a low of right down here at 245. So 295 to 245. And we've recovered a little bit since then. So not good, because, you know, that reduces the security of the Ethereum network against, you know, hash rate attacks. The more hash rate, the more secure it is, and everyone's in consensus. But Ethereum miners are being squeezed on two fronts here. One is the falling price of Ether itself, making Ethereum mining less profitable anyway. But add to that a 33% reduction in the amount of Ether you get for mining a block. That's almost like an additional 33% drop in the price for miners, right? Because their mining rewards are worth less because the price is going down. It's almost like another third pay cut to the block rewards when this goes live. So maybe a sign that Ethereum mining is becoming unprofitable. Maybe some of the Ethereum miners see the writing on the wall with this hard fork, and they're just going to, you know, turn their mining power to a more profitable coin. Who knows? All we know is that's the data. Meanwhile, the Bitcoin hash rate continues to climb. In fact, the Bitcoin hash rate has near enough doubled in this bear market. So this is a 6-month view, the same time period we just looked at in Ethereum. And as you can see, it continues to climb despite the fact that the price of Bitcoin has dropped. So, you know, that's very telling as well, isn't it? Now, there are two main differences that I draw between Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of their monetary policy. The first one is that Bitcoin's issuance schedule is absolutely known. Ethereum and the developers and the community at large, they're messing with the issuance by reducing the block reward from 3 to 2. That's crazy in my opinion, right? It's the kind of uncertainty that's introduced when central banks have their like quarterly meetings, and they create uncertainty in the market and fear for investors by possibly changing interest rates and changing the whole monetary policy and the incentives in the ecosystem. That's the kind of fire that Ethereum are playing with by adjusting something really important like the issuance of Ethereum, especially since the kind of market's under attack by the falling price as well. That creates enough uncertainty, let alone creating it internally. So that's point one. Point two is the Bitcoin supply is absolutely known to be a maximum of 21 million coins. So that's another point of certainty you have in Bitcoin. Ethereum doesn't have that, doesn't have a max cap on the issuance. So those two things are significant contributors to their respective prices. Investors, they move the market and they want certainty, right? They want certainty that the value of their investments are not going to erode tomorrow. And yes, there's chaos in the market anyway, but we don't want to introduce any more uncertainty than necessary. And that's what's happening in Ethereum right now, by contrast, making Bitcoin the far safer place to be. So Bitcoin gives us a level of certainty over monetary policy that we've just never seen before, ever, in the history of the world. So that makes it the superior coin in regards to store of value, if you want to put it that way. You know what monetary policy I love the most? It would be the gold standard. And in fact, I actually operate my own little gold standard thanks to today's sponsor, which is Vaultoro. So Vaultoro is this unique online exchange that allows you to trade between Bitcoin and vaulted gold in seconds. So this is great if you want to break from the price volatility that Bitcoin has and move to the relative price stability of gold. Vaultoro created this thing called the Glass Books Protocol, which allows you to audit their reserves of gold and Bitcoin right on their website whenever you want. So head over to the cryptoverse.show, click on sponsors to learn more. And if you hate ads and those sponsor spots and you want to remove them, you now can by going over to our Patreon page, which is also linked in the video description and on the website, thecryptoverse.show. So the final story today is the Tezos Mainnet has gone live. Also reported by BTC Manager today. Tezos Mainnet goes live at long last. So you may know Tezos was one of the highest grossing ICOs ever. And after going through a bit of controversy with regards to disgruntled leadership, we know leaders falling out over the money, basically, Tezos has finally moved out of beta to launch their testnet. Tezos is now no doubt now going to go through the typical mainnet teething problems that all new networks have. Ethereum went through it, EOS is going through it, Tezos is definitely going to go through it. The article says that their betanet, as they called it, performed flawlessly, but that doesn't mean anything. Not until you get out into the wild, all of the edge cases that you just didn't think to test will show themselves. So we seem to be at the point now where most of the major blockchain application platforms are now up and running. So perhaps that phase is coming to an end now, where the actual platform launches are going to die down, and we can now move a level up to focus on the apps themselves and the use cases. So then we can just focus on which apps are going to get launched, what use cases they target, which platform each of the apps chooses to build on, and then how that's going to, how the apps individually are going to perform as a result. So I very much look forward to moving away from talk about protocols and then more to the application level, because that's really where the adoption will be at. People don't care, the masses don't really care about the platforms. They only care about the apps and whether they work or don't work. So thanks very much for joining me today, guys. If you like this episode, go ahead, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and, of course, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses that will teach you things like how to make and save money with Bitcoin, how blockchain technology works under the hood, or how to make money trading cryptocurrencies, check out my website, cryptoversity.com, click on courses, and you can take any one of these online courses that I've created for your educational delight. If you want to follow me on the social networks, check out the podcast page on the website, and all the social networks are listed there for you. Other than that, I will be back with the next episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.